Welcome back. And now we're going to talk with Ryan from First In Home Inspection. Go for it, Ryan. Talk to me.
Hello, David. How are you?
I'm good. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. We're just excited about the day to come.
Absolutely. We do home inspections at First In Home Inspection, and typically what our process consists of is we show up to the house about a half hour early, and we get started on the exterior for you. So I know it takes a lot of time, and no one wants to sit around for necessarily 3 hours, doing the home inspection. So we get there early to get started for you and do everything we can on the outside. And basically what a home inspection is consisting of is us looking for all the functional and safety issues and pointing those out to you so you know what's going on with the home. On the exterior, we're looking at, drainage issues, vegetation, any structural deficiencies that we can see on the exterior, and just we're going to go through and we're going to take as many pictures for you as we can and just give you a big snapshot of the house.
So when you say vegetation, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so everyone likes to plant flowers and bushes outside of their house. They look nice and pretty, but to us, that is just a natural bridge for moisture to stay against the house or a bridge for pests to get into your house. So typically we tell you to keep those trimmed back 6 inches from the house so there's just no contact with the house.
Okay, and drainage.
So drainage, we want all the land around a house to slope away from the house because as rainwater and everything sits, if you have a negative grading issue where the land's pointed towards the house, then all that water is going to stay against the foundation, and that's how you get water basement issues and water in your basement. So that, along with like the gutters and downspouts, keeping those to discharge water 6 feet away from the house and just keeping all that water away from the house so it doesn't get in your basement.
So with downspouts and that, is it better to have like the flex tube, or should you have the more permanent of a plastic thing, or does it matter?
Well, best case scenario is you have drainage underground that goes to the street. That's going to get it furthest away. But we get that all houses don't have that advantage. So yeah, just using downspouts that extend, even if whether they're plastic or metal, whatever, it doesn't matter as long as they're just directing that water away from the foundation.
Take a look at the roof and give us an idea of the roof and the chimney and all those different exhausts that may come through the chimney.
Yeah, so when we get up on the roof, we're looking at how good the shingles are looking. So we don't want, typically it's an asphalt shingle, so we're looking to make sure all the granules are intact. There's not a lot of extra wear and tear up there. We don't want moss growing on the shingles because that's going to just lead water and moisture sitting on those shingles and having them wear quicker. Any kind of debris and then stuck in the gutters or laying on the roof is just going to add that to pests and water and moisture being on those shingles. Making sure all the flashing and everything is well caulked and the mortar joints in the chimneys are tacked, because we don't want water getting in the chimney as well.
So, and you're checking this all outside. You're going to check the garages and all those other things, the driveway, looking for the raised or sunken sidewalks, hand railings, porches, decks, and all those other things.
Absolutely. And then that's where you can get into some of the safety issues you have with concrete settling and having trip hazards and steps without hand railings and stuff like that FHA calls out. So we call them out for you and let you know that you need to have those there.
So with FHA and VA, I know there is a requirement on when there has to be a handrail, and do you know what that?
We recommend any time there's 3 or more steps that you have a hand railing there.
Okay. What about GFI outlets?
GFCI outlets should be on every exterior outlet and any garage outlet. And then as you get into the house, in the bathrooms and kitchen, and then any unfinished basement areas could use a GFCI outlet as well. Just any place that water is more prone to be in contact with that outlet.
So we shouldn't have one in our bathtub?
No, you shouldn't have an outlet in the bathtub at all.
Okay. Do you recommend that the future homeowner be with you during that inspection?
Absolutely, and it's up to them too. So especially for a newer home buyer, to follow us around and ask any questions, see why we're taking pictures, and just this is their opportunity to learn about this home. So they're buying this home. They want to know what's going on with it. What better way than to follow me around and learn with me?
Okay, so they should definitely not be afraid to ask you questions about what's going on or why you're doing what you're doing. And let's say that, let's say that you find something that you think should be further inspected by a professional, whether it be structural engineer, HV.
HVAC.
Yeah, thank you.
There you go.
You recommend that, and you would put that into your report. And,
So we
say why.
Absolutely, and we have training on all those functions in our own right. But if it's something that is definitely getting more and more involved in the piece of equipment, then we would recommend having an actual HVAC technician come out and look at excessive problems with HVAC and because they have more of the idea on how you would replace this and what more you need to replace and get it functioning how it should.
Okay, so now we've opened the door. We're in the house. Where are we going to now, Ryan?
So once I get in the house, I'm starting in the attic and I'm working my way down. Once we get in the attic, we're taking a look at the structure of the attic space. You can really see even more about what the roof is doing once you get in the attic space, because you can see if moisture is getting in there a lot better than from the outside. So we're looking for moisture staining and structural problems up there, checking out the insulation, making sure that it is well insulated, even the ventilation. So we want the best kind of ventilation you can have is soffit venting with ridge vents. So that way you have soffits taking air in from the bottom and then the ridge vent taking everything out from the top, and it kind of gets that circular motion going up there.
What is soffit?
So
some people may not know.
Sure. The soffit is like if you're looking at a house, the exterior portion that extends out, you see the flat part of the roof underneath, that's the soffit area of the roof.
And, of course, the ridge is at the peak.
The ridge is up at the peak, yeah.
Okay.
And then a big thing for attics is a lot of bathroom vents go up in there, and that's how you're going to get your mold problems. So if you're not having proper ventilation and then you have bathroom vents ventilating into the attic space, that's where mold is created. So we want all those bathroom vents to be directly discharged outside.
And that would be, the best would be through the soffits, or the roof, through the ceiling. You may have said that. I'm sorry, but
no, the soffit would be a bad choice because the soffit is intaking air. So then you're going to have the bathroom vent pushing air out as the soffit's trying to intake. So it really needs its own dedicated space to be just discharged outside. It doesn't have to go through the roof. It can go through the side of a building with a vent too.
Okay. All right, so we're leaving the attic, and we're on if it's a double or two-story, then we're on the second floor. If it's a ranch, we're on the first floor.
So, once we get out of the attic, we're just going into the interior of their house. All the bedrooms, all the bathrooms, the kitchen, the dining room, all these rooms are mostly similar. So, we're going to get our hands on as many windows and as many outlets as we can to make sure everything's wired correctly, everything's operating correctly, all your windows are going up and down, they close, they lock, and they're working properly. Windows can be a big expense, and especially as far as heating and cooling going and all that getting out of the windows. So we're taking a good look at all those windows as well. We're going to look at all the doors, closet doors, entry doors for all the rooms, that they're opening, shutting, they latch properly. That can show signs of settling. So if all the doors in the house aren't shutting properly and you got a slope in the floor, then there might be some underlying structural issues that we'll get to more when we get to the basement. In all the wet rooms, so like the kitchens and the bathrooms, we're going to run a lot of water. So unfortunately, we're trying to figure out everything that this house does in a short amount of 2 to 3 hour time span. So we're going to run as much water as we can. We're going to turn all the appliances on at the same time and get that bathroom going in more work than it's going to typically use on a typical bathroom visit. So the showers are running, the bathtub's running, flushing the toilets along with all the sinks flowing at the same time. And we use thermal imaging to kind of see in the walls too. So the one negative aspect of a home inspection is the home is already built, so you can't see inside the walls, and there's things that can hide from you. So with our thermal imaging cameras, we can see inside the walls a little bit better and see if water's kind of leaking out to where in spaces where it shouldn't be.
So it's kind of like your X-ray vision there you have with that little
Absolutely.
device.
Seeing the differences in the temperature and stuff can really point us out and find some different things.
So you mentioned about opening and shutting the windows. Obviously, it's very obvious why you want it to open in case you have to exit for whatever reason, plus just ventilation. But what are some of the other things that you're looking for when you're opening and shutting those windows other than locking and that? Is there some safety concerns there with that, or?
Yeah, so especially in older homes, the windows are non-safety glass. Windows nowadays, a lot of them are safety glass, so if they break, they go off in those small pebbles and don't really have the capability of cutting you as much. Older windows, they have non-safety glass, which they come in big giant shards, and that's how you cut limbs and fingers and stuff off. So we're looking for cracked glass in those windows, and if the windows are cracked, they should be replaced. Newer windows have different features that, like, leaking insulated glass will show. So there's typically two panes that are together with gas in between, and as that seal breaks, that insulated glass starts to leak out, and that's where, like, if there's fog on a window that you can't rub off because it's on the inside. So those are typically windows that need replaced as well.
Okay, let's move on into the rest of the house.
So we move into the kitchen area. If there's appliances in the house, we're going to try and use them as much, turning on the stoves, the ovens, running the dishwasher, making sure the garbage disposal works, seeing if the freezer's staying at around zero, and then the fridge is around 32, so you can keep all your food nice and cool and frozen as it's supposed to be in those appliances. Again, another place where thermal imaging comes into good use there. Running those appliances, making sure that the vents on the stove vent out of the house, or at least out, not underneath and inside cabinets, because that's another way you can get mold in there. And then that pretty much wraps up on the main part of the house, and then we're getting into the basement where all those major mechanicals are.
So you're going to check the furnace, you're going to make sure it's working, and if it's above 60 degrees, you're going to check the air conditioning if it's there, and check into the electrical box and those types of things.
Yeah, so when we get in the basement, if there's a lot of things going on, we can see if it's not finished, we get into a lot of the structural components, and we can see more down there as far as anything that was leaning or anything that was going on upstairs. We can start to look and see where those major foundation problems are. Cracks in the walls and if any water's coming through. We love doing home inspections in the rain, because then we can really see where if water's coming through, and it gives us a better picture of that. We get to the major mechanicals. We're going to give you approximate ages on all those systems, and tell you approximate lifespans on how these systems work. That when you get into the HVAC system, we're taking the covers off those, making sure the flames are going nice, bright and blue for you in there, and producing some heat. Checking your filters for you and telling you how often you need to replace your filters, which is different for all HVAC units. Yeah, when in the summertime, not so much now that it's starting to get cold, we're going to run those AC units and make sure that they're putting out under 60 degrees outside of those returns there, or supply vents there. We're also going to take a look at your hot water tank. There's some safety concerns with that as far as the relief valve and the flue going outside, discharging into the house there. So making sure if they're going to the chimney that they're sealed and that flue is nice and secure, and then having the relief valve pointed towards the ground, and so hot water, if it were to burst or anything, is not going to splash up on you.
All right. Well, thank you, Stephanie and Ryan, for coming here. If you have any questions for Stephanie or Ryan, please feel free to email me at david@davidngione.com. That's spelled Angione. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again next week.